My name's Ezekiel Ox, and I'll be heading out on tour soon with my band and singing all the songs from my two EPs, Propaganda, and the new one, Cheering Bombs from Deckchairs, which I'm sure you've all heard by now. If you haven't, go to EzekielOx.com. You can check out the dates, you can check out the music, you can check out the clips there. Everything Zeke related is there on that page. But today I've got something a bit different for you. I wanted to take the opportunity to interview a very good friend of mine and someone who I know most of you will know of and probably love their work, and that's the great Ian Kenny from Birds of Tokyo and Karnivool. I have wanted to ask him a few questions for a while, so I thought I'd take this opportunity. I wonder how that Karnivool album's going. Do you remember the first time we met, and what are your recollections of it?
I remember the Grosvenor Back Room, a venue in Perth in the early 2000s, and I remember seeing you perform before I met you. Now, that's my memory. Maybe I'm a little off, but what I remember is watching you perform with full-scale deflection and just tear the arse out of the Grosvenor Back Room, which was a pretty, infamous venue back then for all bands of our sort of scene coming up and cutting their teeth. And it was ferocious. So yeah, you scared the piss out of me before I met you. That's what I remember. In early 2000s, I saw a show of yours and I saw you leap off the second level balcony into the crowd. It was most excellent. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen. Just before you jumped, what was going through your mind?
I remember the show you're talking about. It was the Campus Band Grand Final, and it was full-scale deflection indeed. What was I thinking when I got on top of that? For those that know from Perth, it's the Globe. It's very high. Part of you's thinking, I hope they catch me, obviously. But I was thinking, how hard can I rock this fucking crowd? As I always do whenever I'm on stage. So, they would have been the two things. I hope I don't die or break a leg. But after that, really, I'm just thinking, how can I give people a show? How can I create something special in a moment that they'll remember, which 20 years later you still do, which is very gratifying for me. Do you think that the human race will survive past the year 2300?
We will, I believe, but it'll be interesting to see who we are then or what we have become. See what tech's taken over our bodies and our minds, see what we've spliced ourselves with. Hopefully it's something to be proud of, but it could be ugly. It could be real ugly. What do you think music will sound like in 2119? It
can go two ways. It can either be that people use the technology and the internet tutorials on YouTube and stuff to develop their own musical skills and talents in a way that leads us to a world where everyone plays music all the time together, which I think would be brilliant, and people are more involved in music. Or we can continue down the path that we've been going on, where we will see massive cuts to funding, we'll see artists that simply can't survive, and you will end up in a world where music is controlled by a one world government, and you'll be listening to the same fucking opera that you've been listening to the last 1,000 years, and there won't be much creativity. So let's go for the former, not the latter on that one. In the early 2000s, I was at your house, and you let me hold your turtle, and I dropped him.
You did. His name was Butters.
And I remember everyone being quite upset, including the turtle. I just wanted to know, has he forgiven me? And also, how's the Hero and a Half show going now?
I would say Butters, the turtle that you dropped at my house, has forgiven you. Butters was a good guy. Where is he now? I had to give him back to the pet store that I bought him from reluctantly because he was a cool dude. But my touring schedule kicked off and it really ramped up and I just wasn't home, which kind of sucked. But you can't have turtles, man, if you're not there. They need a lot of daily little cubes of meat and pats on the head. So I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he got sold on to someone who loved him like I did. If you could make up a dream band of any Australian artists or musicians, who/what would it be?
My dream band of all Australian nationals. It would have Chris Cheney on guitar. Having said that, he does play a solo on the Overreactor album, so I've been lucky enough to already work with him. But we're talking about a dream band. So Chris Cheney on guitar. It would probably have, your drummer Steve would be up there with the guy I'd choose. But I think I'd have Dane. Dane from Osaka Punch at the moment on drums. Off click though, Dane, thank you very much. On bass guitar, probably John from Karnivool, because he's such a great player. He's got 6 strings, and we'd have a good giggle on tour. I'd obviously be singing in some capacity, but let's throw another singer in. And, oh, geez, you'd have to go for Chrissy Amphlett, wouldn't you? I'd have to go for dual frontman attack, Ezekiel Ox and Chrissy Amphlett. And on keyboards, I had Eddie Perfect, and who's just opened Beetlejuice on Broadway. So I'd definitely have Eddie on keys. What would you say is the hardest, the most difficult song out of all the hits that you've written to perform live?
Due to the nature of what Karnivool does, it's usually Karnivool stuff because it's just pretty. I feel it's pretty demanding music, and it always demands a certain type of performance. So maybe something like Change or Dead Man. They're pretty dynamic pieces of music. They're long. You need some stamina. I think Dead Man clocks in at over 10 minutes, and I'm pretty sure Change is up there too. So by the time the song finishes, I'm physically pretty cooked after that. So a lot of Karnivool stuff's pretty tough to sing. I'm kind of constantly swapping between falsetto and chest voice, and it all depends on how I feel on the day and how fit I am on the day. But not always an easy sing in that band. What have you learned from being in multiple bands?
I have learned from being in multiple bands that it is important to listen to others, and it's important to have different perspectives as you create, but it doesn't always lead to happiness. Sometimes you've got to suffer for your art. I would rather be with a professional person that I don't necessarily want to be friends with, that I get the results with, than I would be with friends or family who aren't getting the job done. But I think probably the main thing I've learned is that I should go solo. So that's what I've done. I've basically taken all of those lessons over the last 20 years, and I'm now a solo artist. So that's been really important.
Tell me about, in recent memory, your best gig and why.
It'd be the Mammal Comeback Show. It would be the Mammal Comeback Show because it was a hell of a lot of energy heading towards us at that point, and we just did one show at Max Watts in Melbourne, and it was obviously sold out very, I think it was 20 minutes after it went on sale or something. And it was just a big night for everyone involved, and I don't think we disappointed either. I know we didn't disappoint the crowd, and I got to give my mum a kiss when I was on stage up on the balcony, and it was just a really great night. Yeah, something that felt like it put a full stop on a bit of stuff that had been going on in the previous 7 years. So that would be the most memorable. And I think the one that everyone would like me to ask is, why is Karnivool taking so long to put out this new album, and how's it all going? Just asking on behalf of me and, I don't know, a million Karnivool fans.
The next Karnivool record is in the wings. I'm actually here in a rehearsal room as we speak. We're going to kick off shortly. So I can't tell you it's coming. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know how long it takes. I think we all feel this in this band. I wish we all had the control or the power to wield things in the direction we want them to, but it's very much a collective here and shared creative space and ideas. And then we could get into the psychology of the band, and that's just, no one's qualified for that. But I don't know. What I can say is we don't make anyone wait on purpose, and what I will say too is that we feel as frustrated as maybe Karnivool fans feel as they wait. But as we get through it, we always find things we love about what we do, and at the end of the day, it's always worth it to us. So I hope that answers the question.